Okay? Alright, yeah, this is the third time I'm saying thank you everyone for being here. Okay, so we are going through the oral prep for these 4 lessons is because we are opening this up to the public as a special oral drill program. So basically, anyone can sign up. Okay, and we have plans to adjust your class sizes depending on the sign up of these 4 lessons. Okay, the cap as of now 16. So I hope we achieve our target. If not, then of course I have to reassess like what are the other things that can be done to improve. Okay, so in other words, right, because these 4 lessons we may have like trial students coming in and out, they don't have to attend all 4. They can just choose to attend 1 or 2. They can even just choose to attend 1. Okay, so it means to say that you could have new faces suddenly in your classroom, online, offline, that you may not have seen before. Okay, so what I need is basically standardization across all APW classes. Some of you, I understand that you're only teaching IP. The reason you are here is because we are all humans. We could fall sick. In the event any one of us is down, teachers who are here, you are the most likely candidates to go in to take the classes. Okay, that's the rationale why everyone is here. Okay, so this is the main objective why we're going through this whole thing, okay? So there are a couple of things I want to cover very quickly with everyone before I pass the time on to the MLs to share their prep. Okay, so first thing first, this one. Okay, that I need everyone to take note. Okay, we have this Google Sheet. You all just have to, I will share this sheet with everyone later. So what happens is, for this particular sheet, right, I've created the columns for you all to key in your respective students who are taking the O-level examinations. Different days. Total got 8 days. Okay, it runs from 25th July to 3rd August. Okay, so I've created 2 separate sheets, one for day 1 to day 4, one for day 5 to day 8. So I'll need you guys to basically put in your students' names according to the days. Okay, when you go to the sheet, you will see it later. Yeah, I will share with everyone. You all will see it. Okay, so basically, all their timetables are out already. So please go to your respective classes, right? And get from them like which day you will be tested, and then put in their names and put in your name. Okay, the reason for doing this, I explain also. All the 10-year series, O-level oral 10-year series in the market no longer review the questions. I repeat, O-level 10-year series for oral communication. They have this 10-year series called oral communication for O-levels. They no longer review the questions. Previous years, right, what happens is they will give out the questions. So you could at least look at the questions and the kids could practice. So why we're working so hard to collate all this, right, is because you can no longer get it via public resource. Okay? Then school teachers, they do not give out all 8 days also. So what they will do is they will keep the information, and then, you know, let's say a WA comes up, they could possibly test a past year question. And since it's no longer public resource, right, what happens is majority of the schools are actually using past year question to do WA. So our bank of question is very important. Now, bear in mind another thing, if let's say example you go to day 1, you realize that, or let's say ZAM already has 3 students there. So should I key in mine? Yes, please key in. The reason is because different schools, despite day 1, they can ask different questions. Okay, there's no one fixed way that teachers have to ask the question. They can choose to vary the question. Especially if students go like, oh, teacher, sorry, I don't understand. Can you please rephrase the question? The teacher has the prerogative and the liberty to kind of like adjust the question a little bit in order to help the kid. So you will realize that, you know, like doing nothing is the best way to relax. Another school could be, what do you do on a day you want to relax? You realize it's very different, no? But it's essentially the same day, you know, but just different school. So we need that variety of question in order to be able to help students better. Okay? So please get your students' timetable and key it in. So I will know who to turn to on the day the questions comes out. Okay, now another function of this is actually got 8 days, right? So we got day 1 to day 8. Day 1, I always tell them, go temple, go mosque, go church, go wherever you need to, quickly go pray. Okay, because I cannot predict anything for you. All I can do is tell you that these are the popular topics. I can only tell you that past years, first day, these are the popular topics that happen on the first day. But nobody can promise you anything. However, from day 2 onwards, right, we can do elimination. So if let's say day 1, example, public transport appear. So the likelihood of public transport appearing on day 2 will be significantly lower. But if let's say public transport appear and inside they talk about young children, that means next day the probability of maybe elderly fitness has a higher chance. So the variety of questions will then help us to basically do better elimination. Then we can give them a bit of tips on where to focus on for day 2 onwards. So day 8 may not necessarily be the luckiest because sometimes they repeat question and honestly I wouldn't know. Okay, day 8 usually reserved for private candidates, by the way. So the likelihood of our own students falling on day 8 is only when, touch wood, they get COVID, touch wood, they fall down, break their leg or whatsoever, they cannot go on that day, right? Then you apply to see if you can go. Then that is the reserve day that they could possibly go for the exam. Okay, so this is this. All right, so for prediction purposes. Now, at this point in time, I have no idea about the sign up and whatsoever. So let's talk about having this whole training session and prep and everything catering to our own students first. Okay, so catering to our own students. Okay, because week 31 to week 34, we have 4 lessons of oral. But that's not the only 4 topics they have. Okay, especially students who are here with us from Sec 3 to Sec 4. This is 2023, 4 topics that we have already covered. Okay, so there will be a +4 situation coming from week 31 to 34. So in total, this year itself, we covered 8 topics, pure oral lessons. But actually, if there are specific essay lessons that you feel that you want to advise them to read for oral, you can do that. Personally, I like to tell them to go and read A Brave New World because I tell them they need to live in that world. So faster, go and read that thing because the information there can manipulate it for oral examination very easily. Okay, I demonstrated to them how to use Brave New World. Okay, so maybe teachers, if you are interested to find out more, do let me know. I can share my prep and then you all can take a look at it. Okay, so today I will not delve into that. Okay, so the next thing we have is here. Students who are here in Sec 3, we have this set. Okay, we covered 5 oral topics. Alright, so if let's say they are here in Sec 3 2022, they can go and dig out all these notes to study also. So meaning in total 8 plus 5, we have 13 topics. If they are here from Sec 1 to Sec 4, I can give you the IPW earlier topics also. But they will tell you, I throw away the notes already. Okay, trust me, that happening very high. So usually what I will do is, if really you have kids that come to you for that, let me know. Then we will pick out those that, first we will check whether they really hear from Sec 1 to Sec 2, they really hear, right, they lost their notes, right, then we can prepare a stash and give it to them. That one not an issue. Okay, alright, okay, so they have all this that they can go to, so please direct them to read all this also. Okay, teachers, I believe you have your own personal pet topics that you like to teach also. So meaning to say that how you want to direct them, right, also depends on your personal expertise. Okay, you don't necessarily have to direct them to, they may not be reading all 13 of them. So it could be your own personal favorite, how you want to manipulate the information. Okay, so you can direct them accordingly. Okay, the next portion that I would like to cover is this. Because, right, of this part here, this one, you all will be the ones talking to your own kids. So here, how do you actually analyze questions and offer possible upcoming questions to your students? Teachers, do you all have a strategy that you personally like to use? Okay, so I just want to go through my own personal process. Thank you, Zam. Okay, the thing here is we need to treat ourselves like the, how to put it, Chat GPT. Okay, when we teach oral. Anybody here use ChatGPT before? Yes? You all enjoy using it? I quite like it. I tried to ask it to help me plan a trip to New Zealand. Not because I'm going, but because I've been there. I want to see whether how truthful it is, or whether will it like lead me to some valley and jump down and die, you know? Okay, so now, so we treat ourselves like ChatGPT. We try our best to analyze the data and in order to guide them. Okay, so this is what I personally do. We need to establish a list of topics. How do you establish this list of topics? Actually, on top of the curriculum, I also share the so-called the sheet that has all the years of collation or question. Okay, actually is somewhere inside the training folder. I'm very sure all of you have access. Don't have access, don't worry. It is all sitting in week 31 to week 34 notes. Okay, you go into the curriculum, week 31 to 34, I have packed in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022 questions in order not to overload everyone. Personally, I will study all the way back to 2008. So I'll go from 2008 to 2022. So I'll study through that whole list before I go in and teach oral in general. Okay, so I'll look at all the different questions, I'll go and categorize them. Yeah, I treat myself as a ChatGPT, very slow ChatGPT. It takes a lot of effort to do that, by the way. Yeah, okay. So the next thing we can do, because of WA, right, we can classify the topics when students share questions that are tested in school. Okay, I bring this up, right, because actually in schools, like what I say, they don't release the past year question. So what happens is, right, school teachers have to go to SEAB for briefing. Okay, so what happens is SEAB will tell them like which are the topics they should be doing oral lessons. So generally that will kind of give you a guideline. Okay, like roughly what is it. So like for this year itself, right, the most recent WA, St. Margaret's, Bukit Batok Secondary School, CHIJ, they all got public transport. All of their oral WA was public transport. Okay, and then another one that was tested in St. Margaret but not tested in CHIJ was sports and fitness. Okay, but the question is almost the same as the 2022 oral question. So when students come back with that, right, that's why I am guessing whether this year 2023 will public transport be a hot topic. Okay, because since so many schools are tested. Alright, so this is one way to do it. Then the next thing I will do is like what I was saying. So I noticed which past year oral questions have been reformatted in school tests. So that means to say that, okay, public transport, how similar or how different the test has incorporated other elements like what Zam mentioned. Okay, then so they will set certain topics. So this is where we actually take down the questions, and then, you know, the more information you have, the easier it is. Okay, we need to do elimination process. This is what I mentioned from day 1 onwards. Okay, or if let's say they are doing prelim is coming. Okay, so in the prelim window itself, this is where you can get their questions from them. Okay, and this is where you can also start to do the elimination process and see what is the trending thing that schools like to do. Okay. Then as a teacher, this one is not a student, so as a teacher, practice reading all the past year questions as a whole. Then you will be able to see the pattern and the probability of which topics very often being tested. Because when you look at it in isolation, right, let's say I just look at 2016, I will not know what is happening in 2015, I will not know what is happening in 2017. But then if you look at it in totality, right, that's when you realize that, oh, actually for these past 3 years, what has exactly been happening. Okay, so the crucial years to look at definitely from 2019 onwards. That's the reason why I parked those years inside week 31 to 34. Okay, so that one is that. All right. Now, because we are going to be having public students coming in, right? So I would like the actionable advice for students. Okay, this one, okay, I'm going to cover this. Remind me to talk about this later. Okay, so just to check, anyone here actually during our own in-house oral lessons, you all got your kids to record videos and submit via Google Classroom? So because we have public students, this one I leave it to you guys whether you want to continue with that. Reason, because when you have a new student, is either you add them into your Google Classroom or you add them into your Telegram to let them do the sending, okay? Alright, So these are the things that we can do as a team, okay? So meaning the advice that you want to give out. So reading the while notes and practice saying your answer in front of a mirror. This is one option whereby teachers may not necessarily need to mark, but I'll need you to tell them what you want them to see in front of the mirror. Example, me, if I practice saying my answer in front of the mirror, I realize I blink non-stop. So if I blink non-stop, it affects my eye contact with the examiner. So what do? Put toothpick, right? See whether my eyes can open big or not. Cannot be, right? So try. So what are the things to try? Do I smile or do I frown all the time when I'm actually presenting my answers? So these are things that you could tell your students. Okay, next one. This is an option which the admin will share with parents when they inquire about the program. Okay. If let's say the student really want to improve in his or her oral and need more help, they can always record video of themselves answering the oral questions within the notes and sharing it with the teacher for feedback. Okay, we are making this optional. That means to say that because I don't want to overload the teachers also. Alright, but the thing is, when parents ask questions, it cannot be we have no solutions for them. Alright, so this is something which we will let the admin tell the parents, okay, when they inquire about the program. Okay, then next one, which is self-study. On our own center's YouTube channel, we have past year questions done by teachers. That means they have recorded the model responses and all that. Now, these answers, bear in mind, they are recorded during the COVID years. Okay, so meaning to say that even if we were to look at past year question and then we look at the answers that we want to give, need to update. Okay, must update. So always tell the students you can go to YouTube channel to just look at the responses and then assess from there and see how you can further improve the answers, or you have relevant examples that you want to swap in and out. Okay, then of course a very big thank you to our teachers who have written tips for actually oral blogs. Okay, and also I do have some external writers who are writing blog posts for oral tips for us also. So we are progressively trying to put all of them up already. So if let's say you want your students to have like additional tips and whatsoever, they can go to the website to read the oral blog post tips. Now listen, for these 2 points, before you guide, right, please take a look. Okay, it must align with what you personally would actually share in class also. Okay, so can give as a general, okay, I give this because I go through all the resources sitting inside there. Okay, so what I'm saying is that do take a look at it, and then, you know, before you give it out, dish it out as an advice. Okay, it's important to know what exactly you're covering. Okay, next one is this. This is something which I would tell my students also. Now, because schools will make them buy the 10-year series. Okay, so 10-year series, what happens is the older ones that they have, or some of them they have the hand-me-downs from their siblings, right? They actually have model answers. Okay, so they would have model answers and old questions. So what I tell my students to do is you can read the answers and practice recording your own version or writing your own version with new examples. Because the examples in the old 10-year series, they are not exactly relevant. Okay, they have questions like, is online shopping better than shopping in a supermarket? So they have things like that. The answers are not too bad, but they don't have solid examples. So whereas in today's context, we can put in a lot more better examples. Okay, so it's good for the kids to do that. Then next one is we do have an oral ebook that is done together with all the videos. Some of you have come in to record. Very thankful to Faiz, Asha, okay, those teachers who have come in to do the recording. So basically, all those would then be resources that they either have to purchase or I do not have concrete plans about how we're going to dish out this resource to our own in-house students yet. Okay, but all this will be launched publicly for sale. So that one I'll give you more information when it's ready. Okay, so these are the actionables that you can tell your students. Okay, then okay, next part here very quickly. Okay, Standardized lesson delivery for oral lessons for these 4 lessons. So teaching as per shared prep. So later I'll get the MLs to share their prep. Okay, we'll follow. Next one is I need this. This is for the plan response portion. Okay, I need you all to consider how is it that in class you want to train and test students' ability to read and present their shorthand notes for plan response. That means to say that probably let 1 or 2 kids try doing it in class. Okay. How many of you actually feel that when you're teaching oral lesson, you are the one talking? Because we have 4 lessons, so you might want to consider alternate weeks, or you might want to consider progressive. That means to say that the first lesson you do a lot of showing, you're demonstrating. So progressively for the 2nd week, 3rd week, 4th week onwards, right? Exactly by 4th week, hopefully more kids should be able to do independent presentation. Okay, now this is something I will take away my students' paper, leaving that little poor scribble that they have that looks like WhatsApp message, right? Then I'll tell them, you now present, looking at your little piece of paper. Only you understand your own drawing, your own statement, right? Expect me to understand? Of course not. Okay, now I learned something about this, by the way, just to share with everyone. In Cat High, right, what they did was basically, I go in for prep for plan response. I have a timer, the 10 minutes, right? So I get to view the video and then I write my answers. Earlier this year, what they did is when you enter the examination hall, right, they took away the paper. Yeah, they took away the paper and then they tell the kid, now you present. So my student got a shock. So it's like, my writing all gone. So now got to be based on memory, I do. Then the most recent WA, right, which they did, they let you keep the paper. Okay? But what they do is, they now put a big timer here, 2 minutes. You look at this thing and you talk. So, now I get to keep my paper, but there's this 2 minutes thing screaming at me that I need to talk for 2 minutes. So if let's say I don't hit my 2 minutes, right, obviously I know that I'm not meeting the expectations. And nobody's going to prompt me, right? So I have my poor little piece of paper and the clock ticking away. Let's say I'm done by 35 seconds. Then I just look at it and smile. Or I go and try my best to continue. So honestly, 1184 plan response, this is the first year they are launching it. Exactly what is the process, no one knows. Seems like everybody is doing their own thing. Okay, until the actual examination itself, only when the kids come back. So for day 1, please ask your students, exactly what do you get? Do you have a timer staring at you? Was your paper taken away from you? You know, what is happening? Okay, so this one we really need to train. You don't train, right? Yeah, the probability of them actually stumbling, right, is very high. Okay, so next one, let 2 to 3 students, okay, because every lesson has 3 questions, so you want to consider letting 2 or 3 students actually present answers for different questions. One way to do it, right, I realize, is I present the answer. Okay, I teach all the shorthand writing, then I present the answer. After I'm done presenting the answer, I would then tell one child, you just have to repeat what I said. So come, show me how much you can repeat. So then I just get the kid to stand up and then the kid will just talk. So sometimes the kid could actually repeat about 50% is considered a very huge achievement already. Okay? Alright, now students are to write answers to all 3 questions in class, so no homework. This is what we're going to promise the public should they sign up. Okay? Now as I mentioned, they will come in as on-trial kids during this period. That means those that sign up for the program. So for this particular group, right, I would need teachers to observe a 7-day return. The reason is because, right, like what I say, they can sign up for as whichever they want. That means they could be just signing up for this 1 day and see how it goes. So we don't want to delay that return. Okay, if you just have that 1 or 2 kids, then please just return it within that week. Okay. Then, okay, this one. Okay, this part here. Okay, because for our own action notes, actually we don't release the model answers. I leave it to teachers to decide whether you want to release or not because the answer key is with you. However, for this group, right, for this particular, regardless of in-house existing students or actually those who come on board just to do the drill, we will distribute answers for all 4 lessons on week 33. So teachers will have a 2-week window to do the distribution. okay, week 33, the aim is to make sure everybody get the answer. In the event like the answer sit in your classroom and then you teach, you're very busy, you forget, right? At least we have week 34 to give out. Okay, so this is the buffer I managed to negotiate from the admin side. Alright, so to our best ability, everybody try to remember to distribute on week 33. Okay, so far this is all that I have. Just one last part. Okay, I gave the MLs who are doing the presentation later that these are the two things that I want us to cover on a kind of like across the 4 weeks. So you realize that it's a repetition. But different MLs probably have different way of interpreting this, so later we'll see about it. Okay, so the first one is basically skills and procedure, the steps for that 10-minute preparation. Okay, this one, right, I need to emphasize this is the rehearsal. So students should actually do a rehearsal before they go in. Don't write till the very last 10th minute. Okay, always give yourself some time to kind of like rehearse and think through what exactly you want to say, or even just mumble under your breath. Nobody's going to stop you. Okay, so this one is important. So later we'll look at how Zam and Cindy actually interpret this. Now, week 32 and 33, actually I did this with my own class, which is basically I showed them the key difference between plan, response and spoken interaction. Plan response, you get a visual image of the question. Spoken interaction, you get an auditory information of the question. So you have to be able to visualize the keywords inside your head. So the kids are not exactly aware of that. So it's good for us to highlight to them this kind of like the awareness. Okay, so I'll pass the time over to the MLs to cover the 4 weeks of their prep. So far, any questions for me? No? Okay, thank you very much. Okay.